I've got two videos about student loans. And these are student loans that I'm hearing are crazy in terms of the amounts that people are paying. Silly amounts. So I just wanted to shed some light on that. It's just something I wanted to highlight and make, a conversation about what potentially, can be done about the amounts that people are paying. So I'll play both videos, and then after that, you'll get my reaction after.
I am nearly £100,000 in debt, and every year I pay thousands and thousands of pounds towards that debt. But last year alone, the interest added to this debt was almost 3 times what I paid off. And this isn't credit cards, it's not lifestyle debt, I wasn't reckless. It's my student loan. Based on what I am currently paying off, and I'm probably going to end up paying more than this, and the fact that currently interest is based on RPI, which is inflation, plus 3%, by the time that I'm 50, I will have paid nearly £50,000 towards my student loan, which is more than I took out for the student loan anyway, but my remaining balance is going to be nearly £260,000. That is bonkers. What is the logic in paying towards a debt that's never designed to go down? And I am especially in this position because I came from a very low income background. I didn't have family money to fall back on, and I had to take the full maintenance loan, and I had to take out hardship loans just to get through university. And I worked 3 jobs whilst I was studying, and the maintenance grant was scrapped just as I started university. So the support disappeared and the debt basically replaced it. Now I know what some of you are going to say. Some people are going to say, well, this is a different kind of debt to others. That's true, it's not like credit card debt. Others are going to say, well, you knew what you were getting into, but I don't agree with that. It wasn't properly explained to us, and university was kind of just the thing that you did, and it was really heavily pushed on us during A-levels, without alternatives really being explored or encouraged. But the reality is that people from lower income backgrounds end up repaying this through their paychecks far longer than people from more affluent backgrounds because they had to borrow more to survive. I couldn't have gone to university without getting into debt. And that doesn't sit right with me, and I don't think it should sit right with you either. Now, a lot of people are waking up to how unfair the student loan system is. Some people are calling for the interest to be completely scrapped. Some people are calling for the entire system to be scrapped. So, I put the question to you. What do you think should happen?
For me, it's a money-making scheme. It's simple as that. It's a money-making scheme. It's got to a point where if you're charging 9% roughly on top of your payments, what do you call that? You cannot just attribute it to inflation. No way. This is a money-making scheme. And the students have been making outcries for years from what I've seen about the fact that these amounts that we pay or that they pay is crazy. So there has to be an actual change of the policy, in my opinion. Because why should you be a student? You finish education, and then now you're thinking of how much am I going to be paying per month when I start a job? Oh, but it's about it, it gets wiped out after 30 years. Who cares about 30 years? People ain't caring about 30 years. They're caring about what's happening in their day now, in their current, in what's the next step in my in the potential career I'm going to go. And then on top of that, how much am I going to earn? And then how much is going to be shelling out? Not just for a loan, but for life in general. Those are the thoughts that I'm sure certain people are having when they finish career. Okay, when they finish uni, what is the next step? And why should they be thinking about paying silly amounts? 200 and something thousand, the girl said. That is a money-making scheme. But I've seen over the years, students make their gripes about it, but it doesn't seem nothing in terms of legislation is being changed. And for me, it's a ripoff. Just take away the interest. You cannot attribute it just to inflation and say, oh, that's the reason. No, it's not. It's a way to make money. And it was from Nick Clegg's era. It was an era where they were like, look, go to uni. If you go to uni, you'll be able to help your prospects. You'll be able to get good jobs and this, that, and the other. And the whole plan was to say, okay, this is how we're going to make an effective way of making money for the economy. And we're going to tax students at a crazy amount. It's madness. When I was a student many, many years ago, if I had this kind of, understanding that it was going to be at this level that it is today, it wouldn't even occur to me to say, okay, I'm going to go, that route. I think students have to look at whatever they want to do, what is the next step, or what is the potential other steps that they can take? Because as long as it stays like this, it's a ripoff. You're going to be thinking of how much you're spending while when you finish uni. You're going to be thinking, oh, now I need to get a position potentially after my uni course, and now start paying monthly payments back. Some people I'm hearing £400, £500, £600 per month. It's crazy. So I think it gets to a point where they think students are just gullible because they want to, further their education, and they just believe that, hey, more students will keep coming. More students will keep coming. And as long as they just let it keep going, they let the students keep complaining about it or voicing their concerns about it, it will just keep going until something is really done where they're pushed to do it, because it's a money-making scheme. There's nothing else to describe it apart from that, because you should be going to uni, study, get a career, and then pay your normal tax back like you do when you're working. There should be no reason why the number that they're saying about up to 9% is a thing. It's not logical. But I've got another video as well in relation to this of a lady. She breaks it down a bit more in terms of how the student loan process is, and obviously who are the people that were responsible for actually implementing it.
It's 9% over £28,470. So the more you earn, the more you repay.
9%?
It's 9%, I know. So it can make such a huge difference on your payslip. And there are so many people that get into the higher rates of tax that then start to question whether they should even bother earning more money, because actually they're not going to be effectively earning that much on the pound once they start earning over a certain amount. It's a wildly unfair system. Last year alone, you noted earlier on in the show, £15.2 billion was made in interest just on the loans, and only £5 billion of that was paid back.
Scam, isn't it? This is a scam. So it's RPI.
Yes.
Plus 3 points.
Yes.
Who came up with that brilliant approach to interest?
Well, for Plan 2, so that was the Nick Clegg, David Cameron era, obviously, when we went from Plan 1 to Plan 2, which meant we went from £3,000 a year to £9,000 a year. It was a huge colossal jump. We started 3 times in what student loans were going to cost. And also, we were still feeling the effect of the Tony Blair era, where they were saying everyone needs to go to uni, otherwise you're not going to get a good job. And so, especially my school, loads of schools around the country were saying university was the only option post-school. And actually, it was just to drive down unemployment figures. It wasn't really to support us or the next generation. And now we're all of the ones that are sat here with 50, 60, 70,000 pounds worth of debt.
It gets to a point where it looks like there has to be maybe a drop in uni attendees, uni enrollments, and maybe there will be some form of way where people will be like, okay, we may have to look into this and change it, because at the end of the day, education is a thing where, teachers are paid obviously to educate, and that has to be a thing that has to be taken into consideration, at all times. But in terms of the money that students are spending, that should be a thing where it should be changed in terms of the interest. It shouldn't be used as an excuse for inflation and saying, oh, inflation is the reason. There should be no ways that you're looking at purposely, putting that amount on students. Students should be focused on educating themselves and doing what it is they want to do when it comes to their next steps after uni, and not thinking that they have to pay monthly payments that are crazy amounts, which, if you look at it, most people who finish uni don't even go into the career path that their course was for. They say over half of students, when they finish, they do something else. I was one of them. It's like, it gets to a point where nothing changes over different eras. So things need to be done in terms of a proper approach to get these legislations changed. Government needs to look into it and just be a bit more realistic, and stop thinking about ways of always making, money in ways where you're offsetting, and making it unnecessarily harder for the student. And that's just not just the student, that's just in different remits, in the ways money is made in this country, and not just this country, in the world in general. But it will be interesting to find out what people think. To me, it's a money-making scheme. You've heard both points. You've heard the student. You've heard the report with the interview. Whatever reasons, what is it you believe should be a thing? Or do you think things should stay as it is? But let me know.